What's going on, guys? I'm Enrique Pinheiro, and welcome back to the Hawk Show Talk Show, a Seattle Seahawks podcast. You can find me on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. For today's episode, I got a guest. I have the amazing, the legendary Walter Jones, a 9-time Pro Bowler, 6-time All Pro, NFL 100th anniversary team, and of course, Hall of Famer and the best left tackle of all time. Hi, Walter.
How you doing, man? Thanks for having me on.
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for this. So today I got a lot of questions here, and we're gonna go through
Okay.
them and hoping for some great responses out of you.
All right.
All right. So first, some generic stuff, just being about an offensive lineman, because I feel like as fans, I don't have as much like of a grip on offensive linemen.
All right.
With you, like there's more chance for failure with offensive linemen. Like if you don't give up a sack, nobody talks about it, but if you give up a sack, people talk about it like that.
Uh,
Uh, what did you prioritize in a game? Like, how would you feel accomplished? Like having a game with no sacks, or like getting a pancake, or like having like a nice block downfield, or what's up?
I think as an offensive lineman, I think you go into the game and hopefully that you don't give up none of those. It's pretty tough in the professional ranks to not do that. Most of the time you do, like you say, people don't know your name until you give up a sack or give up a holding call. But for me personally, I try to go out there and stay consistent as possible. You know what I'm saying? If they need me to pass block all day long, that's what I have to do. If they want me to run block, but as an offensive lineman, you always want to get the block that's going to open up the running back and he runs for a touchdown or whatever. So as an offensive lineman, we always want to run block. We always want to come off the ball and hit guys and stuff. So I think you learn that at a very young age of playing football of what's your role on a football team. So I think for me personally, I definitely try to play that at a very high level.
Yeah. Oh my. Wow. And with those, like being an offensive lineman in those moments, what would you say is like your lowest moment? Like it could be a certain play or a certain anything, and then a highest
So,
moment, like for you.
oh man, I would say probably my highest moment is probably getting drafted by the Seattle Seahawks. That's probably my highest moment. Just being able to get paid for doing something that you love, and you was able to make a lot of money and being able to change your family life, change your life. So I would say that's the highest. I said the lowest probably losing in a Super Bowl maybe. That was tough. I think because you was part of a team that was the first team to ever get this team, the Seattle Seahawks, to a Super Bowl and to not finish it and win it all. That was tough. So I would say that's the low. Maybe another low, probably getting injured, being able not to be able to go out and help your team play. So there's are like two lows that I think as players you have to deal with. Playing this game.
Yeah, that Super Bowl loss was a tough one. And then about you getting drafted, by the way, I love your FSU background. How crazy is that to go from Bama to then Florida and then get drafted all the way and go up to Washington? What was that transition like for you?
You know what? I think that the transition to just leaving and playing football was pretty easy. Leaving a small rural town in Alabama and then going to Florida State. I think that helped me out when I got here to Seattle because I understood that I can focus on football and then have to worry about family and friends. So like that. So that definitely made it easy. I think the number one thing that was different from coming from college to the pros was that you have to become an adult pretty fast. You're in college and people take care of you, making sure everything is taken care of. Then all of a sudden, you're playing football, but then you have to start doing adult things, taking care of your bills, making sure you got food in the house. So I think from that standpoint, just becoming an adult in the professional ranks, I think you understand how to play football. You never lose that. But from a standpoint of where now you have to take care of your responsibility outside of football. So I think that's probably sometimes it's the toughest challenge when you get drafted in the NFL.
Yeah, that's true. I never thought of that. Like going from college to NFL is so big, such and even in life, like separate from football, just growing as an adult. That's crazy.
Hmm.
Uh, for your entire career, it could be like the NFC Championship, or what was your favorite game overall?
Oh man, like you said, I think maybe my first game I ever played in was special because I was able to play. But like you said, I think the NFC Championship game. I think for players, you play this game for one reason, and that's I guess to make money, but still you want to be able to do the things to help your team win. So for us to be able to have an NFC Championship game in Seattle and to win it to get to the first ever Super Bowl was pretty amazing. So I would have to say that NFC Championship game just to be a part of that, just to be a part of something where you see it on TV, you see teams do it all the time. So to be able to say that you was able to be part of a conference championship game and to win it to get to a Super Bowl was pretty amazing.
Yes, it's an amazing accomplishment. It's so
Yeah.
awesome, and you guys again, you said it. We're the first ones to do it. Such a landmark for Seattle.
Hmm.
And then you, obviously, my opinion, the best left tackle ever. Just a crazy resume. I have it
Thank
here:
you.
180 games, only 23 sacks allowed, and 9 holdings. And I was thinking about that. Put that in perspective. Was it like such a big deal for you when you would either hold or give up a sack, or like would it like stick with you?
I think it does. I think as you play the game for so long, I think when you're younger, when you get in the league, you think about it more. But I think once you become a veteran, a student of the game, you understand that it happens. You don't want it to happen. I think as linemen, you don't want that. You want me personally. I go into the game and I want the guy to have zero stats across the sheet. You know, like when you get on the bus after the game, the PR guys come up with these stats sheets or stuff that will happen in the game. And, you know, for offensive linemen, that's really not no stats for us. So we have to look at what the quarterback does and what the running back does. So for me personally, I used to watch the defensive guys. They always look and see if they got a sack or they got a tackle, how many tackle for loss. But then the guy that you're going against, if you look at his stats and his stats are zero across the board, that's what you want him to feel when he get on the bus. No matter how hard he played, if he don't have any stats, you really can't determine on how he played the game. So for me personally, that's kind of how I went into the game. I wanted that guy that I'm going against when he look at that stat line, his stat line on the bus going home or wherever he's at, he gonna feel like, man, I didn't do anything to help this team today. So that's kind of what's my goal going into every game to make sure that guy didn't have any stats when he got on the bus to look at that sheet.
And then I got two questions kind of based off that. First, are there any sacks that like you wish you could have back, like that, like a specific one, maybe like a big play or something?
And you know what? You have so many sacks. I think you can remember. You know, I got beat by Bruce Smith. I wish I could get that back because he kind of played me throughout the game, kind of set me up. So I wish I could get that back. But then I think Bruce Smith helped me to become a very student of the game throughout the game. You know, a lot of times we watch film all week and then when we get in the game, we really don't think about things. But I think for him, he definitely helped me for the point of, you know, what a guy's going to try to do to beat me throughout the game. So for me personally, I got pretty good at kind of understanding what guys wanted to do and then what they would do to me in the third quarter or the fourth quarter. So I would say Bruce. You know, you had games where, you know, I gave up a sack one time. We was going down the drive to win the game. I think it was against Arizona one year, and I got beat for a sack. So you know, you have those games where you think about that stuff, but you know, it's part of the game, and you have to have a very quick forgiveness and continue to keep playing football.
Yeah, and it's so crazy to hear you talk about Bruce Smith, just like you were out there with him because, and you're right, you Hall of Fame players, like level talents, you're helping each other grow, and that's excellent. Uh, were there any players, it could be Bruce Smith, maybe like DeMarcus Ware, some pass rusher from that time period, where you remember like going into it, you were kind of excited to go up against him?
Not really. You know what? I was excited about playing the game, so I never had like that. Oh, I got to go against this guy. You know, my goal was to go out there and try to block this guy throughout the game. I never put whoever I was going against. You know, every guy that played this game was a professional, where they have to play this game and know how to play it. So I put respect on everybody I went against. So it never was that moment where I felt like, oh my God, this is a game. So I just wanted to be consistent every time I step on the football field.
No, I like that mentality. Just it's your opponent, you gotta deal with them. Everyone's
Yeah,
equal. That's great.
yeah.
Uh, and kind of related to that, I know you said that in the past you didn't think of any players like that, but is there any player today that you would just love to get, like, assuming you were in your prime, love to go against, love to try and maybe an Aaron Donald, a TJ
Yeah,
Watt?
man. You know what? I don't think any guy think like that. I don't never look at it and say, man, I wish. You know, I think I leave that up to the fans and friends to say stuff like that. I never look at it and say, man, I wish I would have went against him, because you don't want to go against a guy that you're saying that's dominating the league, that's running all over people. So I don't want to deal with that fire. You're not saying I'm afraid of it, but You deal with what you deal with. I don't never sit there and say, man, I wish I could go against Aaron Donalds or go against JJ Watt. No, I don't think that. I give respect where respect is due. These guys are doing what they need to do in this league, so playing at a very high level. But I never look at it like, man, I wish I could have went against them. Never, you never, you like they say, you don't wish that on nobody. So I don't sit around and say, man, I wish I could have went against those guys.
And then this will be a last question about players on the other side of the ball on offense. Is there? I don't know if you like pay attention that much to the offensive line. I assume you do, but is there any offensive line that either kind of reminds you of yourself or that you just like watching grow?
You know what? I enjoy watching the game for what it is as a fan. So I don't try to critique guys. I'm an open book. I have talked to guys, multiple offensive linemen, where they ask questions or they want me to look at their film, and I'm always there for that. I always tell people, I can't take this knowledge with me, but I'm not going to chase you to give it to you. If you want it, I'll give you what I know, what I've learned since I played this game for so long. But I just don't watch it. I watch the veteran guys a lot, but for me personally, I just watch the game to see high scoring and who ain't getting scored on. So I don't ever look at it like, man, that offensive line right there is, maybe I need to start looking at offensive line, but I really don't. I look for, I question offensive linemen if something happened throughout the game, but I don't sit there and try to critique those guys and try to figure out who's the best and who's doing that. I just don't do it.
I understand. That's good. That's good. Back to you. I see it on your hat. Why'd you go with number 71? Is there any meaning?
I thought it looked good as a left tackle. That was my only reason. I was when I was in high school, I had 80. I was a tight end in high school, so that didn't have no resemblance. And then when I got to junior college, I had number 71 again. I just thought, at that time, I was when I got introduced to football, it was told to me that if you played the left side, you wear odd numbers. If you played the right side, you wear even numbers. So that's how it was always set up to me when I was playing. So when I started really getting good at it, I started just looking at numbers and I'm thinking like, what would be a nice left tackle number? And 71 was my number, and I felt like now every time I see a 71, I think about me or something like that. But I think the coolest cat I ever saw wear the 71 was probably Tony Pacelli. The way that he wore his jersey, the way he kept it where guys couldn't grab it or nothing like that. So I thought that was pretty cool. So there's no rhyme or reason. I just think it's a dope number for a left tackle, 71. So any tackles out there wearing 71 or don't or want a number, I think 71 is probably the dopest left tackle number out there.
And you just brought up Tony Baselli, and it made me think of like other big left tackles like Orlando Pace, Willie Roaf. I know you were a high draft pick, like sixth overall, but I assume that early in your career you kind of weren't as big of a name because you're an offensive lineman, like we talked about. They don't get as
Mhm.
much credit. But then through the years, you paved the way for like Ricky Waters and Sean Alexander, and you got to that kind of celebrity status. Like now, everyone in Washington knows your name. How like is it so special to you that you kind of you elevated like that? Like everyone, I don't know, you really grew and you're so. Is it cool to be that like famous around Washington now?
I don't know. I don't know if it's famous. I think it's just you did it the right way. I think the cool thing about it is when you have people come up to you and say, "I started watching offensive lineman just because of you." My dad used to come to the game and watch just you play the game. So for me personally, I think that's the cool thing to hear when people say that. But I think for me now personally, I just try to get people to know my personality, get a chance to know me. A lot of time, you play the game, you don't interact with fans and stuff like this. And then this while I do, I get a lot of requests to do podcasts now, and I enjoy it. I think it's pretty awesome for especially someone young like you that's inspiring to want to do this. And you don't, you probably ask tons of people, and then you just got to, once you ask and you see, you have to be, a lot of times all you have to do is ask. Sometimes, I think as young kids, I try to explain it. I try to teach my kids is you can't you'll never know unless you ask. Um, and it's okay for someone to say no. It's okay, you're talking to someone on a social network. It's okay if somebody don't respond because this game is so crazy. But I enjoy doing this stuff because it shows me that people are finding their niche or finding what they love to do. So anytime you get a chance to get on here and talk to the young people that are aspiring to be something, to do something great, I'm all for it. I don't know if I
Yes.
even answered your question. I don't.
No,
Did
no.
I answer your question?
Yeah, you talking about like I don't know. You kind of explained how you're using your platform, and I really liked it.
Yeah.
Thank you. And then I don't know if you know this, kind of related to that, but I was reading up last night on you, and I saw that the day you retired, the at the time the governor of Washington made it not national, but only in the state of Washington, like Walter Jones Day on April 30th. Did you know about that? And is that still a
Yeah, I
thing?
do that. I got that as soon as I retired, and that's pretty cool. You know, a lot of people ask me what do I do. I say honestly, I don't know unless somebody tells me. I don't do nothing special. There's no key that I can own the town, something like that. But I think it's a pretty cool. It shows you that, like you said earlier, a lot of people knows you know what you did on the football field. So it's one of those respect things where they respect good, and you did it the right way, Walt. So that's pretty awesome to be able to have that day and people still recognize it and let me know when that day is.
Yes, it's just speaks more about like you're still connected to what to Seattle and everything. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
like you raised the 12th man flag at the 7-9 game, the Beastquake game.
Mm-hmm.
You were an honorary captain at at Super Bowl 48. Like you were there with us when we won the first Super Bowl, which is a big thing. So you're so involved in Seattle, obviously, and I also big fan of the fifth quarter. I always watch that. You and
Thank
Paul
you.
Sylvie and John Clayton. Would you ever consider maybe joining Seattle, like maybe an offensive line coach, maybe some sort of coach, just trying to like get back involved or anything like that?
You know what? I never have pursued that. You hear people say it all the time, but I tell people all the time, I played the game. I didn't coach the game, so I think you have to have that niche to want to coach. Right now, I'm not. I don't have that itch to coach kids or coach anybody. I think it's all about it's still the same way you play the game. You still have to come in there and earn your respect. So I don't know if I want to go in there. I think what I did on the football field, yes, that's gaining you a little respect, but still you have to take your hat off to coaches to be able to take five different types of personality and make them work as one. That takes a lot of work. So, I've done a little football stuff like when my son was playing little league, football, but it was hard for me because you expect for people to be this way. So coaching is very hard because you got to be able to you almost have to almost be able to lower your standards until you find out what kind of kids you have or what kind of players you have. So I just haven't had that itch to want to do that just yet.
And then about like Seattle, because like you're not gonna let's say you're not gonna coach, but you pay attention, obviously.
Hmm.
Isn't it kind of strange to see like when you were there, how much they value the offensive line with like you and Steve Hutchinson, and
Hmm.
now today there's like a complete culture shift, kind of like this offseason we made some offensive line moves and that's great, but you know what I mean? We're like we don't put it nearly as much effort into the offensive line. Do you like think that's kind of weird or anything?
I don't know if it's weird. I think it's just part of. I think a lot of times, you say that. I tell Hutch all the time. I said like we set the standard for how offensive line will play. So I think a lot of times we makes it tough for the next group of guys to come through because now, like I said, people say I come to the game now. People watch the game different. You can even watch the game now and be like, okay, that's bad offensive line play. You know what is good offensive line play. Like you say before. Even though you was good, but still you didn't go to a game to watch the offensive lineman. Now you can go to a game and you can break down and say, okay, I know that's not good offensive line play. So I think from that standpoint, I think if we have made the offensive unit, the offensive line unit, people watch it more, people conversate about it more. So I think from that standpoint, I think it's cool. But I think sometimes you mess it up for guys that's trying to figure out how to still play this game because sometimes people put so much pressure or standard of what they should be or who they thinking that an offensive lineman should be instead of just letting these guys learn how to play together. Try to keep. I think the cool thing about offensive lineman, if you put a squad together, you got to try your best to at least keep them together for 4 to 5 years, where you're really going to see the progression of an offensive lineman if you can keep all those guys together.
Yes, exactly. If you can build that chemistry, I think you
Yeah.
can really, like, help a offensive lineman evolve. And you kind of said it. It's that the main problem with the offensive line is that you and Hutch and I don't know if it was at the same time, but like Kevin Mawai, you got our
Yeah.
standards so high. Like Seattle fans were spoiled with like amazing O line play for so long that when we came back down to earth, it was just probably a little bit of a shocker for some fans.
Well, definitely. I think when I retired and they brought another offensive lineman, I think not saying he wasn't a good offensive lineman. I think the standard was set so high, like you compare him to what you watched before, and you can't do that. And sometimes that's very hard. You see it in every sport where some guy was great. Now you got to decide, was he greater than this guy? So the standard, you set the standard, and now sometimes, like you say, you have to kind of take yourself out of that and go back to reality and say this is a learning process. And sometimes. Uh, you just don't give guys the benefit of the doubt to kind of figure things out. Because I said this league now is like a microwave. We want it now. We don't want to see what's the guy from the 76 or what they said, the trust the process. We don't care about the process anymore. We want to get them on the field. Let's win the Super Bowl. So I think it's just the way that's just the way the league is right now.
That's true. I like that point of view. You're right. I was just gonna ask you what's going on in your life today, but it sounds like mainly you're just helping like kind of small businesses kind of grow like this, or like helping out young kids, and then also a family man. So that's awesome. Is there anything else you'd want to share about like your life post football?
You know what? Right now I'm just enjoying the time I get a chance to be with my family, my kids and stuff. I have twin boy and girl that's 21 years old, so really enjoying that. I'm working on my clothes brand. I try to promote it as much as I can, my best to ever do it. So I've been doing that now for the last 5 years. So that's been great for me because it gives me a chance to, a lot of times like when you leave the game, it's kind of hard to find your niche or find your purpose because you've been playing football since you probably was 12 years old. So for me personally, I never tried to chase that. So when I knew when the game's over, I didn't have an issue with. Okay, I'm okay with sitting at home. I'm okay with because I did it when I was playing. So for me personally, but now I think the cool thing about me now, I do radio, I do TV. I think it's cool for people to get a chance to know me. A lot of time with offensive line, we don't talk a lot. So for me personally, right now, I think it's pretty cool for people to see me in the community. I call Seattle home. So, and for me personally, I pick and choose what I want to do, and I think that's the cool blessing to have. I think uh, I try to teach my kids that I said, you prepare now for so it's going to be fun if you do all the steps to prepare, save money, do what you need to do, and then when you get about 30, 35, now that's when you can enjoy life. So for me personally. I'm really enjoying life. I'm 10 years, almost 11 years removed from playing football. I'm in a great place. So basically what I like, you asked me what I'm doing in my post career. Trying to just do as much as I can. I'm into my brand, best to ever do it. So if anybody's out there, you're looking for some hoodies, some hats, some t-shirt, go check out my website, the best to ever do it, b2edi.com. There's some cool stuff. I'm working on some stuff for the spring right now. So that really give me a lot of energy to constantly keep trying to figure out how to improve this product. So I think that gives me purpose every day to kind of always thinking about things the way to make this product even better.
That's amazing because you're right. As a football player of your caliber, of just any really professional football player, a sports player, you've dedicated nearly your entire life at that point to football,
Hmm.
and then when it ends, you almost need to start fresh. And yeah, you said finding your niche, and you did that. So that's great.
Hmm.
Uh, just wrapping it up, are there any final like words of wisdom or anything you'd want to say to anyone out there, like either trying to like enhance their craft or just get better at something or just like chase their goals and dreams?
Hey, you can take my brand. My brand is the best to ever do it. I try to instill in people to be the best version of yourself, whatever you're doing. If this is what you love, be the best at it. If you're gonna, treat your people the way you want to be treated, whatever you do, anybody you get on here, you treat them, you give them the undivided attention. I tell people all the time, they don't, you do these podcasts, you do it with so many people. And the number one thing, not you say, I'm just saying like in general, like you say, a word of wisdom. Just make sure when you do these, make sure that you give that person this undivided attention. Make that person feel like you're the only person I'm talking to right now. And I think it goes a long way for interviews. But I tell people all the time, be the best version of yourself. Not, don't be something that you're not. And then if you have any goals, don't let anyone tell you that you can't do it. If that's something that you feel like that's what you want to do, look at all the avenues to get that done. So that's my word of wisdom. Just be the best version of yourself every time you wake up and you step yourself outside or, whatever. When everybody see you, you want them to be the best version of yourself.
Thank you so much, Walter. That's it's really cool to hear from you. Thank you.
Awesome.
Any, Anyways, that's it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Make sure you first follow Walter on Instagram, and second, go check out Best to Ever Do It, b2edi.com. Get some Walter Jones merch. He's the best to ever do it. It's right here in front of you. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Walter, you want to say bye?
Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it.
Bye.